How we doing, everybody? And welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Sunday, Championship Sunday, right? It's Championship Sunday. Everybody is just hooting and hollering if you're from Philly because, you know, Philadelphia Eagles moving on to the Super Bowl there. The rest of America is like, and we were hoping for Jaden Daniels. But hey, Aaron's happy, so that's what matters here. Right now, the Chiefs and Bills, that's a dogfight, 22-21 as they go in the third there. So we're going to keep an eye on that as we go along here. But right now, I mean, the only savior that we have left that can save the football season is Josh Allen. That's it. That's all we got. Josh Allen, boys. We got to root for him. This is all we got. Jaden Daniels is gone, okay? Jordan Love, way gone. He's been gone for a while now. It's all up to Josh Allen. If we have to watch Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs take on the Eagles, round 2, right? Part 2. Oh, yay, part 2 again. I'm going to lose it. I just can't handle it there. But, hey, we got lots to get into today. Lots of Wisconsin stuff to get into. We don't care that much about Patrick Mahomes. We're going to get into a lot of Wisconsin stuff today. Aaron is with me today. Aaron, how we doing? It's Sunday night. You're feeling frisky. The Eagles got the win. Philly's probably, I mean, the bars are probably lit up right now. It's like pandemonium out there. How we doing?
Yeah, I mean, you got what? You got to grease the poles, right? That's what they say.
Got to grease the poles up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie to you. As much as I downplay the NFL at times, to be Super Bowl, like it's for me, it's always Super Bowl or bust. Like making the playoffs is whatever. Like if you can get all the way there, it'll be great. I mean, I'm elated. I will say I'm not gonna rub it in, whatever you want to say, but I'm happy. I'm over the moon a little bit, but like Kobe said, man, I if you get to the Super Bowl and you lose, what's that? I hate that. It was a good season. I hate that. If you don't win the Super Bowl, I don't care. I really don't. So it's like Kobe said, job's not finished. So happy to be here. If we have, if the Eagles go on to play the Chiefs, it's playing the Chiefs and the refs. So I don't know how that'll go. And like you said, part 2 is kind of, I'd kind of like it, rather see it be the Bills as well. Just from a fan perspective, like the Chiefs is like, okay, it feels like the Patriots now. Like it's the same thing over and over. But yeah, long story short, pretty happy. I mean, just, Washington was just kind of outmatched out there. So moving on.
It's a good day for an Eagle fan, right? It's a good day there. And you know what? You want to make yourselves feel better if you're a Packer fan. Actually, I don't know if this makes you feel better. It didn't make me feel better. This was from Zach Cruz. He's over there on Twitter there. In the last 6 years of the Matt LaFleur era in Green Bay, the Packers lost to the eventual NFC champion in the playoffs 4 times. 4 out of 6. We have lost to
like the Brewers, man. It's like it's pulling your heartstrings a little bit. It's got to be.
So that brings you back to the square one of the whole Matt LaFleur argument is he good enough to get you over the hump, right? Is he good enough to take you to that next level? Because right now, if you look at the history, right, everybody wants to go with historical stats to look at what to look at here. Matt LaFleur, in 6 opportunities, has lost to the NFC champion 4 times. 4 times. You can look at that as being, well, we lost to the team that went to the Super Bowl. That's cool, right? But you can also look at it as if we would have beat that team, the Eagles, if we would have beat the Eagles, played the Rams, and then would have ended up playing the Commanders, because the Packers have won that trip, right? Because honestly, if you look at that, you wouldn't have played the Rams, right? You would have ended up playing the Lions. You would have ended up playing the Lions, right? Like the Commanders did. The Packers saw that. I mean, they played the Lions twice, and they played them pretty well. I mean, they didn't get over the hump, but it's like you look back at this, you look at that path, and you're like, could they have gotten over that hump? And it's just, you always got that could have. Could they have? And it's now you look towards the future with Matt LaFleur. Can he beat that team, right? If Gutekunst goes out this offseason and gets him, let's just say, a Max Crosby, or, I mean, way out there, right? Myles Garrett, or a guy like DK Metcalf for in that wide receiver room. Can Matt LaFleur be the guy to take you over that hump? That's what we wait and see now. That's why I think this season it's a lot of Matt LaFleur's career right here with the Packers, at least. Because when I look at it, I'm like, the window's open right now. I don't know how much more of a window you can open up. It's going to be next year, after this next year, the year after, where you're going to get even more cap space because you will lose the Devondre Campbell, and I believe there's another contract. I don't know which one, but it's still on the books there. But you're going to lose those contracts. Those will come off the books. You are going to have more with Jordan Love there. You're going to have more with some other guys there and trying to keep guys around. But, I mean, the book on Matt LaFleur, I don't know. We talked about Ben Johnson's comments the other day as like, shots at him, but until Matt LaFleur does something, everybody can poke shots. Everybody. They're not friends. I get that. The comments that he made, were they, justified? I don't know. But until he proves it, until he proves that he can beat one of these teams and go on a run and get to the NFC Championship game and get over that hump. I mean, Dan Campbell, I love Dan Campbell, right? I love what Dan Campbell's done with Detroit Lions. And he has given himself a leeway for probably about 10 years. I don't know, because the way that organization was before he got there to now, he's bought himself a lot of time. But when I look at Dan Campbell, it's like, he's got to get over it eventually, right? Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, he's been there.
Sean McDermott, right? Like, holy cow. I mean, how long is that going on?
Yep, they got to get over that hump. They got to get to that next level. And it's a question of, can they get there? That's going to define, it's like you always say with Mike Tomlin. You don't like Mike Tomlin simply because Mike Tomlin, he gets you 500, he gets you a winning record, he gets you into the playoffs, but doesn't win you any playoff games.
I don't want to sound like it's, every year. I honestly, there's limitations to teams, right? We can look at certain Packers teams like, that team isn't going to go to the Super Bowl. Or like a certain Eagles team, they're a 10-7 style team. My argument's always, if you have the talent in-house, right? Like Kyle Shanahan, how many years of that crap is going on?
Yep.
If I'm a 49ers fan, I'm like, look, this guy, he's the guy that can get you, he's the chauffeur, and he'll get you like 400 feet to like right before where you need to go, right? You're 400 feet like towards your destination. Oh, I'm going to drop you off here. It's like, dude, you never finish the job. And it's not all coaching. I get that. But we're talking about a results-based business, and
yep.
I mean, LaFleur, you take over a franchise that's never the Packers are never a dumpster fire. And I can, definitely have respect for that. It's not like the freaking Tennessee Titans where it's like, holy crap, can you win more than 3 games a year? That's a challenge half the time. But, you come into a situation with Aaron Rodgers. I think I've never been in love with Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. I almost put more on him than LaFleur. Now you have a younger quarterback, the ceiling's high, but he kind of regressed this year. Now, is that injury? Like, there's so many questions, and it's, like I said, it's at certain points in guys' careers, it's put up or shut up. Like, I think it's been put up or shut up for Mike Tomlin for 5 years, but now people are putting him on the hot seat, and he probably still won't get canned for another 2 years at the very least with the same results. But I mean, you got to just look at yourself in the mirror and say, when what's it going to take? Is it more talent? Yep. Is it better coaches around? Like something, you want to raise the bar. You like every team wants to go to Super Bowl, and certain teams try harder than others. I think there's teams out there that are like, what are the Raiders doing? Like they're just spinning their tires for, forever basically. You bring in Pete Carroll, okay, we're going to completely switch things up. The Packers are in a situation where they're good. It's like that good to great to elite conversation. Yep. where it's like, how do we make steps forward? Because staying the same sucks. I would argue staying the same is the worst, honestly, than backtracking and restarting sometimes is better. I mean, look at the Lions with Dan Campbell.
Yep. No, 100%. If you're not progressing, you're regressing. That's all that it is. You can't stay stagnant. You have to get better along with teams right with you, because we expect the Bears are going to get better, right? I don't know, but we expect it. The Lions constantly coming back now. The Vikings underneath Kevin O'Connell, he's been fantastic. So the NFC North is a good division now. So you have to progress with them now. And who do you blame at the end of the day, right? You have to come out of every season and you have to say, why didn't it work? What was the reason why it didn't work? Do you want to look back to Gutekunst's draft classes, where draft class is not good enough there? Or that draft class for that season, was it not good enough? The guys that he got the year before, did they not progress enough? Is it the defensive line coach, right? They fired the defensive line coach. They thought he was the issue. So they got rid of him there. Hopefully that helps out there. You look at the offense there. What's going to fix the slow starts? That's a question Matt LaFleur has to answer. Why do his guys look like they don't come out with the fire? Another question Matt LaFleur has to answer. The special teams. I would get rid of Bisaccia. I don't know why we keep him. The special teams is constantly a problem, but we keep bringing him back. That's a question that needs to be answered. Every single year, we have a special teams problem. We hopefully have the kicker figured out. Hopefully, the Packers get Brandon McManus back, because from everything that I saw, he was solid. I mean, he missed that one kick against the Eagles there, and outside of that, he was solid all season long. So I cannot blame that guy for one missed kick in the playoffs. Like, that's for what he did for the Packers, or before that, I'm good with him there. I mean, they have a lot of questions that they have going into this offseason. We got lots of weeks to answer all those questions, right? The NFL offseason seems to take forever. Combine's going to be coming up. They're going to have all the pro days, everything like that. So we're going to have a lot of answers to a lot of our questions, with even what Brian Gutekunst is going to want to do out there in free agency. So we'll kind of see what he does there. I did see, before we get there, I wanted to mention across social media. I just want to mention this off top of the show there, just in case anybody wants to find us out there. Facebook, YouTube, if you want to find us on either one of those platforms, watch the show there live, especially when you get on the radio there. If you want to watch the show live, check us out on Facebook and YouTube, Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade. And then you can check us out on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. We're available on all three, Wisco Sports on the Go. So you want to find us on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok, you can find us at those. Otherwise, Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade on Facebook and YouTube. There you can find the live show. And then, like I said, the other day, February 12th, we're starting up on the radio there, 7 to 8 Central Time there. You can catch us on 92.3 WOSQ. We'll be live there. But I want to get into a little bit more Brewer talk today. I saw across social media, I saw a little comment, or a commenter today sent this to me. Jesus Made is the youngest prospect on the MLB top 100 list. He's 17 years old. 17 years old. Think about that for a second. I mean, that's high school. You're still in a high school age, and you're in the top 100 for MLB prospects. That's unreal. That's just that is awesome. So, I mean, the Brewers got a guy like that down in the system there. You love to see that. Aaron, you had the list up before, top 100 prospects. Did you find the other four Brewers? It was Jefferson Cuero's on there, Jesus Made, Jacob Mizorowski, and then Cooper Pratt are all on there. Where are they ranked right now within that top 100?
Yeah, so first one, we come down here at 47 is Cuero, the catcher. Also, I mean, a lot of these guys are young, right? But 22 years old. Jesus Made, like you said, 17, crazy. Cooper Pratt, 20 years old, at Jesus at 56, Cooper at 57, respectfully. And then you work your way down a little bit further here, rounding out the last guy, Mr. Irrelevant, if you will, right? Almost at 100 there, but not to be forgotten is Jacob Mizorowski. I hopefully didn't butcher that too
Jacob Mizorowski, you got her spot on.
Right-handed pitcher, 6'7". I mean, Josh Hader 2.0, right? Like, just
that dude chucks gas. You want to see some phenomenal movement on pitches? Look up Jacob Mizorowski. That breaking stuff is nasty. He strikes you out while you're sitting there watching him strike you out. That's how nasty it is. You're like, how do guys even look at that? I didn't even see that. I didn't even see it break. Jacob Mizorowski is going to be a dog when he gets up to the big league level. And he might be a guy where we could see him this next season. I really do believe he might be a guy where he could be on the fast track. I don't think he's going to be a starter, though. He's a starter down in the minors. I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think they bring him up the Corbin Burns route. I think they put him in the bullpen. I think they let him sit out there, get his stuff ready, like 2018 Corbin Burns. Get him out of the bullpen, let him get to his stuff, figure it out, get comfortable at the big league level, and then move him into starting rotation. I think that's the way you work it. And I would love it. That dude's got some gas. The problem with him is, with that gas, it's the stamina. He has problems going over like 4 innings. That was his biggest problem. It was getting past that 4th inning and staying in control and staying in command of everything. So that's the one thing to watch out for with him. But that dude, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem for opposing hitters when he gets up there. Jesus Made's fantastic too. All the videos that I've seen off Jesus Made down there hitting, that dude, he's got a smooth stroke. We could see him. He's not coming up this year. Like, nobody freak out and think we're going to have a 17-year-old in the bigs this year. I'm going to say he could probably be like a 19, 20-year-old in the big leagues, though. Like a Jackson Chourio kind of route. I think he could be up that fast. Cooper Pratt, too. I think he's going to be a guy. We could be talking about him in a couple years. I really do. He's fantastic. Jefferson Cuero, we talked about him the other day. I don't know. I don't know, because you have William Contreras and backup catcher. Do you want him to be a backup catcher and not get consistent time? Because then you're not developing a prospect. Then you're letting him sit and sulk. So it's like you almost leave him down. You almost leave him down there. And then it's like he's not getting time at the big, so you never know what he is, right? So it's going to be hard to see what's going to happen with Jefferson Cuero. For me, if a team out there wants a highly rated prospect, a catcher, I might try to swing a trade. I really would. I might try to swing a trade with, let's just say, I don't know, there's some teams out there with third baseman where you could be like, hey, I got Jefferson Cuero. He's top prospect here. He's one of the top prospects in all baseball. I mean, top 100 list. He's up there pretty high. We could ship him off to you. Maybe slap on a couple pitching prospect or something to go along with them. And I don't know, maybe like the Phillies, maybe they would look to move Alec Boehm yet. I don't know. Like, I mean, JT Realmuto is only getting older, right? And you're going to need a catcher eventually, right? And Jefferson Cuero's in AAA right now. Last season, we didn't get to really see him, right? Because he got hurt. But he's in AAA. You know he's got a boatload of talent. Trust me, watching him in spring training, that dude can chuck out a lot of guys. He has got a cannon of an arm. So you watch him down there. The Phillies got tape on him, which they should be able to find the tape on him. I mean, I could see a team like the Phillies being like, hey, we need a guy to, step up here and be the youthful catcher that we could need down the road, because JT's not going to be there for a long time. And I don't know who the catcher prospects are for the Phillies, but I would imagine they're probably not higher than Jefferson Cuero is, and probably not highly touted like Jefferson Cuero. So it's like, I don't know. That could be a team, right? That could be a team where you reach out and you're like, we know you guys aren't sure about trade or getting rid of Alec Boehm, but here's our offer. See what you want, right? So there's all those options out there, and that would be definitely something. If I'm the Brewers, I'm looking at. I want to continue this talk. We'll talk about this on the backside. We got to hit our first ad break here. We'll come back. I want to talk about this just a little bit more, and then we got to get to Badge basketball, because the Cornhuskers, they got shucked today. They got shucked, and I want to talk about it on the backside of this break here. So we'll be back on the backside of the ad break here to talk.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in to see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Next, we have Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Have you been injured recently, whether it was at work, shoveling snow, or mowing the lawn? Stop in and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He will get you right, get you back to work, back to shoveling snow, back to mowing the lawn, doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever. And then we have Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest.
Sweet gear. That's all you need to know. Game Day Supply down there. So I wanted to get to, we do have one text, and this is what I want to get to when we came back before we got to the Badgers here. We got one across texting line. Do you think high schoolers should be considered as a prospect? That's interesting. So I would have to ask this person if they could elaborate. Is that before they got drafted, or is this when they get drafted? Because technically when they get drafted, they're already technically a prospect. So then they'd be in that ranking there. But is it before they get drafted? Because there is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are lists for like top high school prospects. There are lists out there that you can get different, like if they go to different camps or if they're a part of different programs, they'll rank them on there. I know there's one PBR, not PBR, is it PB something in the state of Wisconsin. I seen there are a couple different things in the state of Wisconsin for them there, but they do a rankings list where guys can go there and show off their skills and everything like that, like arms, speed, like velocity or whatever you are, right? If you're an infielder, you're an outfielder, you're a pitcher, you're just looking for hitting, they'll show all your different metrics and they'll put it all up on the site for you, and then they'll have it all there. Oh, here we go. Here's the question. Here's another question for us real fast here. Should they be able to get drafted out of high school?
I don't see why not, right? I mean, Jeter's one that comes to my mind that he went on and played at Michigan, or maybe he dreamed of going on to play at Michigan.
Baseball's different. Like you look at okay, like hypothetically, football is impossible. You ain't getting drafted out of high school to play football unless if you're just like, I mean, Thor or the Hulk, walking out there. You ain't getting drafted straight out of high school to play in the NFL. The NBA, I would say, is even different. I don't see many high school athletes. Like everybody's, this is gonna piss off a lot of people when I say this. So just wait for this one. This is gonna fire up a lot of people. I am not that impressed with Cooper Flag from Duke. Everybody's like, oh, these NBA players are like, this is the greatest thing. This is the greatest guy I've ever played against. He's got so much talent. He's going to be the next star. He's going to be the next this and that. I watch him at Duke. He's got a lot of growing to do. Be honest with you. And it's going to tick off. If anybody out there's a Duke fan watching this, they're pissed. They're like slamming their keyboard against the wall right now. They're pissed, right? They're like, what is this idiot talking about? He's got a lot of growing to do. And honestly, that's why I look at him and I'm like, they thought that coming out of high school. He was playing NBA guys coming out of high school, and they thought this was the next dude. And I watched him at Duke, and I'm like, he's got a lot of growing to do. He's got a lot of things he's got to fix before he can be at the next level, be in the NBA, and be successful. Baseball, you're in the minors for a while, unless if you're like a Jackson Churiel or you're a superstar, right? A perennial superstar like Juan Soto, right? Juan Soto went through the minors pretty fast there too. Look at a lot of these other guys. They're like 4, 5, 6 years in the minors before we ever even figure out who they are. I mean, baseball is different. I think baseball, yeah, you should be able to draft out of high school. Because honestly, if you go to college for baseball, like unless if that team that drafts you is going to start you out at, let's just say, the double A level. I mean, the double A level at least. You're 22 years old already. By the time you get out of college, you go 4 years, right? I mean, 18, 19, 20, 21. You're about 22 years old before you start your big league career. And you get down there and maybe they put you in like high A. And now you got to work your way from high A all the way up. Most of the guys that get drafted out of high school are all-star. They got the talent already. They're going to succeed at the next level. The other guys go to college. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with guys getting drafted out of high school for baseball. Football's never going to do it. Basketball, they've done it, but I just don't see it really working in today's leagues. I think it's too fast. I think guys are too big. I think that they wouldn't be able to keep up in the game, and I think they'd just be a bust. They wouldn't be able to figure it out fast enough, and people would give up on them. So I can't see it in any other leagues, but in baseball, yes, I can see it definitely working there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I think with baseball though, that's the thing. Like, I mean, if you play at like a South Carolina or like Texas or like there's some marquee schools.
Yeah.
Like you play really good competition. It could be a good thing for you. Now, like you said, if you come out late, like you're a senior and then you get drafted and stuff like that. But I still think, I mean, baseball, Harper, Soto, all those guys started like they all of them had to make their path, right? Christian Yelich, like these guys, no matter
Harper
how
went
good
JUCO,
you were,
didn't he? He was JUCO too, wasn't he? Bryce Harper. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, no matter how good you are coming out of high school, college, like you have to prove it at the next level. These guys. I mean, Jackson Holiday was in summer league ball for a little bit. We've seen guys down there in Florida and like in different leagues and everything. Like baseball, the grind to get to the show is the ultimate grind. Like you have to prove it at every level. So I mean, getting drafted out of high school doesn't mean much until it's not like you're getting drafted in the first round of the NFL draft and like you're expected to play. Like that, we're talking. Yep. These guys have to prove it at single A, high A, double A. Like it's an absolute grind. So yeah, getting drafted out of high school, that's a whole. Like you're just getting started. You're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And great question because I think that's something that is talked about a lot. Football's never really talked about it because, like I said, it's physically impossible to. I mean, even some college guys don't even match up to what the NFL has to throw at them. But like the NBA, that's something that's been taught. I mean, look at LeBron. LeBron never went to college. Maybe he could have used a little bit of college, but he never went to college there. So I mean, that's everybody's got their own opinion on Mr. LeBron, and mine is that he sucks. So that's just how I roll with it there. But I want to get to the Badgers, Aaron, because like I said before, them Shuckers, they got shucked. They got shucked in this game by the Badgers. It was just that kind of day. It was just that kind of day in Madison, and we loved it. We loved every second of it. Connor Essegian comes back. I was a little worried, right? I I was a little sketched out. I was like, I don't like this. Connor's coming back. I got a feeling he might torch us for 40 or something. Nah, none of that. None of that in this one. Badgers start out hot. And this is, you talk about that West Coast road trip that they had, right? They played against USC and UCLA. Both those games, they had slow starts. That game against USC, I believe their first three possessions resulted in a turnover. Like, that's the slow start I'm talking about. And UCLA came out hot. The Badgers came out hot in this game here. Badgers 19-2 run to start the game. They were 5 for 6 from downtown. 5 for 6 from downtown. Wow. I mean, wow. Just came out hot. And this is my favorite part. So Badgers go on that big run. Nebraska closed that gap. They came back. Nebraska came back in this one. Don't let that final score fool you. This game got down to 4. Jack Janicki had a huge steal, took it down, threw the hammer down there later in that first half, and then the route was on. Jack Janicki flipped the script for me in that game. He completely flipped that script in that moment. The momentum was all kind of favoring Nebraska. Wisconsin was on this little cold spell. Jack Janicki changed that game. Love to see that there. John Tanjay and John Blackwell, the Johns, right? The John brothers there. Those two, I mean, I will argue with a lot of people that might be the best backcourt in the country. Plain and simple. John Blackwell, I mean, the other day he goes for 30 plus. John Tanjay gives you nothing. Against UCLA, both of them went off. This one here, John Tanjay goes 27 points, 9 for 19 from the field in this one, but his 3-point percentage, Aaron, unreal for John Tanjay from downtown. 4 for 5. 4 for 5 from distance. Or no, 5 for 11. Sorry about that. 5 for 11. God, my stats are all flowing around here. 5 for 11 from downtown for John Tanjay. And this one just under 50% on the game. This guy, when he gets rolling, watch out. John Blackwell, same difference for him. Same difference. The Badgers might have the best backcourt in the country. Just the way that they have the ability not just to beat you at the 3-point line, but to beat you off the bounce. And the question then becomes, right, because when you got a team like this, right, like the Badgers, 1 through 5, it doesn't matter what Greg Gard does, right? He's got to start games. John Blackwell, John Tanjay, Max Klesmit, Stephen Crowell, Nolan Winter. All 5 guys can knock down threes. They go to that bench. They bring in Carter Gilmore. I don't know what he did in the offseason except for work, because that guy and his shot and his scoring ability has been an A+. Carter Gilmore can knock down threes. Kamari McGee, I don't know what kind of juice that he does in the locker room before he comes out before every game, but this guy is unconscious from downtown. I don't know what it is. I absolutely don't. You want to talk about a guy who upped his craft going into this season? Kamari McGee. 54% from downtown on the season, Aaron. He's about 55%. He's 54.8% from 3 on the season so far. That is unreal. And it's not like this is a guy who shoots like he's only shot like 10. This is a guy who shot 30 plus threes already. And he's 54.8% from 3. That is unreal. You want to talk about a percentage jump? Last season, 27% from 3. 27%. This season, 54. The thing with the Badgers, and this is what really was evident in this game here, their depth and their ability to score, not just in the starting 5, but their ability to score on that bench. The ability that when they go to that bench, you still have to respect everybody that's out there. You still have to respect a guy like Carter Gilmore or a guy like Jack Janicki, who had a 3 for 3 on this game here, and then Kamari McGee. The depth of the Badgers is their saving grace, because what do you do defensively? Right? Most of these teams out there, you look at them, you're like, well, we can hone in on this guy, and if we slow him down, we can beat this team, right? Wisconsin put up 80-plus points, and John Tanjay scored 0. 0 points. In this game here, and I know we're going to harp on him. I know a lot of Badger fans out there are going to harp on him. Stephen Crowell had 1 point in this entire ballgame. He didn't shoot. He didn't shoot once in this game. And the Badgers put up 83 points. He didn't shoot one time. Your big guy gave you absolutely zilch, nothing, 0, nada, across the board. You still won the game. That's what speaks volumes to this team, is they can score it in a boatload of different ways. Now, in this game here in Nebraska, they doubled the post, right? I don't want to have everybody blaming Stephen Crowell for getting you 0. Yes, I wish you would have that big post presence that would score you buckets all the time. 100%. I agree. In this game here, they double down in the post. The thing with Steven Crowell is, and when we talk about him getting involved, because I know we always put it in the pregame notes, right? All the time. When we're pregaming for these games, when we do the preview, I always say, get the post involved, right? I don't mean score it. I don't mean have the Badgers score it. Or have the post score it. What I mean is get the post involved to the point where Steven Crowell is getting doubled and he can kick out the shooters. That's where I'm looking at. That's where I'm looking at with this team right now. And John said it perfectly here. Nice to see you, John. I haven't seen John in a while here in the comments. Love to see you on the show here. John said it perfectly. Thing with the Badgers' weakness, if they clean up, could be a dangerous team. Clean up those turnovers. Yes, 100%. Because if you look in the Badgers' losses, if you look at every single loss that the Badgers have had, turnovers. The Marquette game, turnovers. Illinois, turnovers. UCLA, turnovers. Michigan, you could go back to turnovers. You could say there was a few costly turnovers in there that if you clean them up, there's some that you're like, that happens, right? When a foot steps out of bounds, it happens. Like those are the ones where it's like, crap, you just move on with life. It's the costly passes. It's the bad passes. It's the dangerous things that they do. Those are the ones that kind of irritate you. And that's where it was against Marquette. That's where it was against UCLA, was making those dangerous passes. So I agree 100%. You clean up those turnovers. I got to be honest with you right now. If the Badgers figure it out defensively, which was another one of my points in my notes, and I tweeted out there too, this was the best defensive game I've seen from the Badgers all season long. And I know Nebraska is not as athletic as a UCLA or an Illinois or even a Michigan State. I know that, but this is a starting point. This is a starting point in this game here. Defensively, their rotations look better. Their help side defense was phenomenal in this one. They were keeping Nebraska out of the lane. They were checking out shooters, boxing out, cleaning up the glass. In this one here, I mean, the Badgers, 38 rebounds. Or they had 43 rebounds to 35 rebounds in this one.
Mm-hmm.
You love that. You out-rebound a team. You out-rebound them. Turnovers in this one for the Badgers, I mean, 8 turnovers. Talk about what you can do when you only have 8 turnovers in a basketball game. This is a team that can put up 80+. And the awesome part, and this is a thing I never thought I would say with the Wisconsin Badgers, we just expect 40 points at the half. We just expect it now. Like before, if we hit 40 at the half or even 30, we were like, oh man, wow, we're going to have a burner tonight, boys. Like we're lighting them up. This is going to be it. Now it's like we score 40 at the half. We're like, we could have done better, right? Could have been better. There's a lot of things that could have went better that half. I don't know. I'm just looking at it as this Badger team is doing things that are unheard of. Wisconsin, this is from Benjamin Wargle over there on Twitter. I just saw this tweet earlier today. Wisconsin scored at least 80 points for the 13th time this season, equaling the third highest such total and the most since 1970 to 1971 season. The school record is 15, set in 1963, 1964, which the Badgers are on pace, of course, to shatter. Like they're going to go way over the top of that right now. So you're seeing what the difference is right now in this Badger offense all the way around. John did. I wanted to read this comment here from John. Defense looked good and very clean defense too. Only gave up 4 fouls. Let's see here. Player fouls on the game, 11 in 2 halves. The game, I mean, watching it, that was partially because, I mean, the refs, they stayed out of it, which I love. I love that. Reffing was pretty clean in this game here because Nebraska only had 11 fouls. I mean, it was just clean basketball. You could call it clean basketball. You can call it the refs were kind of just swallowing the whistle. I like that. It was a little bit of both in this one, and that's what you want in a Big Ten basketball game on a Sunday afternoon at noon. Like, I don't want the other night at UCLA when there was 50 fouls and it was just, I mean, terrible. Like, and there was 50 some free throw shot. Like, I don't want that. I don't want those crappy games. I want a game like this where you just let them play. If it's obvious, yes. If a guy gets hammered going to the rim and he gets thrown into the back, yes. Like, blow the whistle. I agree with those. If it's tic-tac, let it go. Just let it go. Let them play it out, right? Those are the games that we love, so I love seeing that there. But hey, we got to hit an ad break here. I want to talk more Badgers on the backside. We got some comments from Greg Gard here that I wanted to get to. I want to get to that. I want to talk a little bit more of the stats here that we saw out of this one. We got a little bit more to get to today here yet, so I want to get to an ad break, come back, and then we'll see you on the other side here. Just a quick little one there, guys. Just a quick little one. Like I told you guys last week there, we got the radio show coming up. The show will be on the radio. We got to get used to the 3 ad breaks. Right now, technically, I only have 2 sponsor ad breaks, so we just hit that countdown there so we can have that for the recorded versions, everything like it. Yes, just bear with us during the 10-second countdown there in the middle. But I want to get more Badgers here because, Aaron, this was a great game. This was a great game for the Badgers here. 83-55 was the final there. The Badgers, wire to wire, were in control of this game here. It got close, like I said, 4-point game there at one point. Then the Badgers jumped back out. And I think that's another thing coming off this game that I loved was that we've talked about in the past, right? What was it? The Ohio State game. The USC game, those 2 games where it was like the Badgers built a big lead and then those teams came back on them and they made it close at the end. And in both games, right, the USC game, Badgers were able to pull back ahead after the half, but Ohio State took them down to the wire, right? This game here, Nebraska closed that gap and the Badgers took a big halftime lead, right? They had 12-point lead going into the half. They didn't waver off that lead. Right? The Badgers threw the haymaker to start this game. They got a little, like, Nebraska was throwing, like, they were trying to kick you in the face, but they were missing, right? Maybe they just whacked you, grazed your ear a couple times. And then Wisconsin threw a haymaker right back at them. And it was done. It was done. They came out and they controlled the pace. They controlled this game. That's what we wanted to see out of a Badgers team was just utter dominance, right? Wire to wire. Can you dominate a team wire to wire? This game here, the Badgers dominated wire to wire. And if you ask the Nebraska fans, it's like, what have you done this year besides beat Arizona? Shut up. I saw somebody comment that earlier on a post. They're like, let's just, it's like, shut up. I mean, that's enough. That's enough out of this. But Greg Gard, I want to talk about a few things Greg Gard had to say after that one. And they talked to him in the post game because the Badgers, they're going to have this little road trip here. They're going to have a lot of road games coming up here pretty soon. They go to Maryland. They go to Northwestern. They come back home for Indiana. They go to Iowa. They go to Purdue. And then they come back home for a few there. So they're going to have they're going to have some road games there. 4 of their next 5 are going to be on the road there before coming back home for Illinois, Oregon, Washington. But then they have another road trip there with Michigan State and Minnesota. So they have a lot of road games here, right? And Greg Gard had to say, we're getting on a plane. We're going somewhere to play basketball. That's all he said. That was his comment on it. I love that comment, right? He said there are a lot more difficult things out there in life and where you have to play. Tell us where we have to play and we'll be there. I love that. I love that comment. Because Greg Gard, we heard from, it was UCLA's Coach Cronin the other day, where he's like, we've seen the Statue of Liberty twice in 2 weeks or something like that. And, he's getting all fired up and having to play. And I don't know if this was a shot at him for saying that and everything like that. But Greg Gard's like, dude, we're going to get on a plane. We're going to go to Maryland. We're going to take care of our business. We're going to go back. We're going to take on Northwestern. And then we're going to come back home for Indiana. And then we're going to go back on the road. We're going to take on Iowa. And then we're going to go to Purdue. Then we're going to come back home and take on Illinois. When you go to the big dance, and this is what Cronin and a lot of fans, and a lot of fans get irked with this one, but when you go to the big dance, you're on the road for how many weeks if you go all the way to national championship, right? You got the round of 64, round of 32, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, national championship. You're on the road for 6 games. Right there, you're on the road for 6 games. What gets you better than playing on the road in the Big Ten? What gets you more ready for the dance? Like Greg's like, bring it on, right? We got to prove to ourselves that we can not only win at home, but we can go on the road and win basketball games. Because for a fact, and when you're at home, you have the crowd, right? The crowd's into it. The crowd's with you. When you go on the road, they ain't with you. They're most of the time against you. Unless you go to Indiana right now, then they're booing Mike Woodson and they're trying to get him fired. But outside of that, they're with you, right? So that's the thing. You go on the road in the Big Ten, you have a stretch of games like this, I think it builds you a little bit more. If the Badgers can go to Maryland, right? And John said it right there perfect. Maryland is a sleeper team. They just had another good game there. I agree 100%. Maryland has been playing a very good basketball as of late. Maryland's been fantastic as of late. I shouldn't even say they've been playing very good basketball. They've been fantastic. Beat Indiana today, and they had that win against Illinois by 21 in Illinois. They went to Illinois and beat them by 21. I get Avicic wasn't playing for Illinois, so they're missing the big fella. I get that. But you got blasted on your home court by 21. That's different. That's not just missing one guy. You got blasted by Maryland, and then they did have that win against Nebraska before that. There, so Maryland's starting to hit a little bit of a streak there for good games. So that Maryland-Wisconsin game could be a very good game there. Could be a top 25 matchup too, because Maryland could be ranked in the top 25. Right now, if you actually look at the ESPN matchup predictor for that game, they have a 66% chance that Maryland wins that game over Wisconsin. So that tells you the faith that they have in Wisconsin right now. In the faith they have in Maryland at this very moment, especially in a road game there. So Maryland is favored right now in that game. I think, but could be a top 25 matchup. So I agree there. But I like that. I like that out of Greg Gard. Basically saying like, hey, we got to go on the road anyways. Like it's going to happen at some point in the year. It sucks in our schedule that it's 4 of the next 5, but we're going to get her done. We're going to get through it. We're going to win some basketball games. You go 4 out of the next 5. You win 4 of the next 5. That's a win. That's a win. You go on the road and you win 3 of those road games in Maryland, Northwestern. You win in Iowa. You beat Indiana at home. And then you play Purdue on the road. Maybe you play a close game, but Purdue, because Mackey Arena just absolutely sucks to play in for Wisconsin. I don't know what it is. Like that place is cursed. That place is cursed. I'm convinced that place is cursed. But you go down there and maybe you rattle off a win down there. I mean, they have a lot of good opportunities in front of them. They're going to have a stretch of games here. Purdue, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, then Michigan State. That's a lot of ranked matchups right there. That's a lot of big time games for the Badgers that are coming up. And I can't wait. You want to prove it? There's a chance. There's a chance right there. And then Minnesota. I mean, John knows all about Minnesota. Oregon just got beat by him the other night there. Minnesota's starting to find their groove. So even Minnesota coming up late in the season for the Badgers, that could be a tough game. Minnesota's got that win. They just beat Oregon, and I believe before that they beat Michigan and Iowa. They got a win against Michigan, Iowa, and Oregon. 3 straight wins for Minnesota after they got beat by Maryland and lost to Wisconsin there. I mean, that's a pretty good – Minnesota's starting to figure it out there. I don't like Minnesota, but they're starting to figure it out. So I'm looking at all these – I mean, the Badgers got tough – they got a tough schedule in front of them, and they knew that. They knew that. Big Ten's always tough. They knew that it was going to be a tough sled in there. John says don't sleep on Northwestern. I agree. Northwestern's got some good players too. Martinelli's still there. Bartenheiser's still there. Nicholson is still out there for him too, and that Leahy's playing pretty good basketball for Northwestern. So all the way around, I mean, Northwestern's got a pretty good team. I just watched them take on Illinois today. I believe Illinois pulled that one out there. But outside of that, I mean, Northwestern, solid ball club. They got some solid players, some experienced guys. Badgers, they got experienced guys too. And that's where I think the Badgers been playing well right now is they got the maturity. The maturity level of Wisconsin, I think, is what puts them over the edge of some of these other teams. John Tonje, Blackwell in his sophomore season there, Stephen Crowell getting older, same with Gilmore, Max Klesman. If Max Klesman figures it out on a consistent basis, this team is going to be scary. And they're scary right now. But if Max Klesman can shoot it consistently and you put him in the backcourt with John Blackwell and John Tonje, watch out for that. Because if Max Klesman can ring it up with these other two, this team is going to become deadly from downtown. I saw the stat over the last – I just had it up just before there, and I didn't want to lose it there. Greg Gard, that's another quote from Greg Gard. Across the board, we see offensively, we're a handful. When we get ourselves locked in defensively, we become a complete team. That was something that we just stated on before there. This team, the thing that they were lacking, like John said, was turnovers was a big problem, but also defensively. We said when this team could figure it out defensively, because that game to Illinois, right? They lost that one. They put up 80-some points, 80 points against Illinois, and they lost it 86-80. You don't lose many games like that. UCLA, you put up 83 points and you lost. You shot 50% from the field, 50% from the three, and 50% from the 85% in that game against UCLA. They shot from the free throw line right around it there. I think they were probably around like 89%, if I'm not 85. They shot 51% from the field, 50% from three, and 85% from the free throw line. And they lost that game. What's the thing that keeps holding them back? It's defense. It's picking it up on the defensive end. And we talked about it. What did we see better in this Nebraska game? Defense went off. They played a lot better. And it was shot blockers too. I haven't seen the Badgers block many shots in a while. And Nolan Winter had one, I believe, in this one here. I believe Gilmore If he didn't have one, he had an attempt at one. But either way, I mean, they're getting some shot blocks attempts. So you love to see that. This was a stat I was looking for. Wisconsin was a combined 33 for 67 from 3-point range in 2 games. So that would be against UCLA and against this Nebraska team here. 32 for 67. Wow. When this team gets rolling, they're hard to beat. That's what we're trying to say here. When this team gets rolling, they are hard to beat. Aaron, was there anything you saw coming off this game against Nebraska? You're like, wow. Like this Badger team, they're starting to feel it, and this Big Ten schedule is starting to ramp up a little bit. The record's starting to look good here for the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah, I mean, one person you bring up a lot there, like Max Klesman. I mean, we've kind of harped on this team. You know, are they a great rebounding team? I wouldn't say they're a great rebounding team, right? That's something they can always get better at. I mean, he crashed the boards for 7 as this mic continues to fall off the table. 7 boards tonight. Like that's, I mean, out of a 6'4" guard, right? Like that's impressive. Like there's something to be said for that. Are you going to get 7 boards every night? Probably not, right? But when another guy can kind of step up in a role like that, you know, that's good to see. Like any type of experience and any type of like broadening your game in a dominant win, like that gives you confidence. Hey, you know, we go play a better team down the road here. Maybe Maryland, even let's say Max Klesman has some more confidence, maybe in the rebounding department, you know, like just that type of thing. Like you bring up, you know, I'm a big John Tonje guy from afar a little bit, but I'm a big John Tonje guy. Like this was a game like you expect. No, I'm not going to say every night, but you expect him. He can do this a couple times a week, right? He can give you those, you know, 27 odd points there. So like you love to see that. I mean, they just took it to him, right? Even when it got close. Okay, hey, we're going to put the foot back on the gas. Like we're going to show them, you know, they can't hang with us. Like, and that's what you got to do. You got to put these teams down and kick them while they're down and just keep going. So. I mean, yeah, you just love to see a lot of what they did today. And like you said, you know, Stephen Crowell giving you basically, you know, 7 boards, 3 assists, and 1 point, but, you know, everybody else scoring for the most part. You love to see it. And I think this is a win they can build off of as far as, you know, outside of, you know, your main guys. You know, you see some bench guys, you know, be productive here. And just this is going to be a stretch, right? Like this is going to test them. This is going to test their merit a little bit, being on the road. Tough environments like Maryland's that's a good environment. I know that. And some others, you know, we talk about here. So, you know, you want to go into a stretch like this with a win and with a dominant win. I think at best, you know, that is the situation that you're looking at. And it played out for like they took care of their business and we move forward and on to the road trip that will happen here soon.
Yeah. No, I agree. And John, I see you in the comments there. I want to get to your comment when we come back from the break here. We got to hit our last ad break. We're going to come back. I'll hit John's question there. We'll wrap up the Badgers here for the day, and then we'll get out of here. And if you got any questions, anybody else out there in the comment section tonight here across the texting line, the number's down below. If you got a question, comment, anything like that, definitely send it across our way, across the texting line or into the comment section wherever you're tuning in. So we'll see you guys on the other side of the ad break.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Marshfield Motor Speedway, located 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great racing. I cannot think of a better way to spend a summer day or night than down at the track. Next is Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin, located at the Marshfield Mall. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sports cards, memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And then we have Peggy Sue Beslick, Century 21. Do you want to find your dream home or maybe looking to sell your current property? Let Peggy Sue Beslick at Century 21 help you with all of your housing or property needs.
Like I always say, Aaron, new year, buy, sell, get rid of that clunker, get yourself into a new one. That's what you got to do. Peggy Sue down there at Century 21. So we got to get a little bit back in the Badgers here because I wanted to get John's comments here. He commented here, would you like to see them move the ball more assist? I think they do good on sharing the ball, but sometimes I like to see it more to be more complete. That's a lot of more in that comment there, John. You got me all over the place there. Yes. Yeah, we've talked about in the past. I thought today they did a really good job moving the basketball around there. What I would say is, yes, at times they get stagnant. At times, I think they get away, and we've talked about it before, the ball sticks to one side of the floor. They're not transferring it both sides of the floor. They're not moving it around. They're not working in the post. They're not getting it, working in, working out. They're not getting those kickouts. So, yeah, I would agree. At times, I would love to see the Badgers, and that's what we talked about in these games where they get these big leads going into the half, and then out of the half, let's just say like USC came back on them, Ohio State came back on them. They got a little stagnant. They got away from moving the basketball around and side to side. They kept it one side of the floor, a lot of forced shots. They were rushing shots early in the shot clock. They weren't really working. And that's what the Badgers do now, right? They aren't a team that's going to burn the shot clock. They go in volume. The more shots they can put up, the more opportunities they got to score, right? That's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for this Badger team. I just believe at times that they get away from even working the basketball. So I would agree. I would agree. I would like to see the Badgers move the ball a little bit more at times. I think I can't say I've watched a game so far this season where it was like a complete game. I was like, why don't we know the whole game? I was like, move the basketball a little bit more. I just think at times they get away from it. They get too stagnant. It's like today they put the gas pedal down and dominated. And in other games, they took it off and they just tried to coast, right? They tried to coast. And the problem is when you coast, you can coast to a point, but then you get to that point, it's a question of, can you put your foot back on the pedal and burn it a little bit more? Can you get back to that bigger lead, right? When a team, you're up by 15, they close it to 8. Can you get back to 15? Those are, those kinds of teams, very far and few between, right? You got to know that. Put the gas pedal down, build yourself a lead, and then maybe slow it down a little bit. Maybe try to play a little bit more. I still don't like the isolation basketball thought there, but slowing it down, then not trying to rush shots, that kind of thing. So great question there. I completely agree that I wish the Badgers at times they got to get to keep moving the basketball there. But Aaron, we're right at the end. Right at the end here. Was there anything else? I mean, big win by the Badgers, 83-55 there. We talked about the Brewers a little bit. Anything else we got to wrap us up here for the day real quick?
Not so much. I mean, obviously this AFC Championship game coming down to the wire as it always is with the Bills and Chiefs, it feels like, but I'll be shocked if the Bills pull this off. It's just, unfortunately it seems like history is probably going to repeat itself. I mean, the Chiefs don't lose. I mean, it's very rare they lose. It's just, wow. I don't know. It's going to take a miracle drive. I mean, as we're seeing it, fourth and five on Buffalo, 47 there. So
quick one from John here. Any teams so far that we see as dark horses? I've been saying St. John's before the season and also Mississippi State to make deep runs there. Is there any dark horse teams we're looking at? And he said, of course, Wisconsin. Thank you for the love there, John. Thank you for the love there. If we wanted to look at just Big Ten, like if we wanted to say, well, what's the Big Ten? What's that one team in the Big Ten where I think they could make a run, right? I would say my dark horse team right now, not expected team, would be Maryland. I like what Maryland's got. Julian Reese has been playing fantastic. Gillespie's been fantastic. I like what they have. Outside of that, I mean, Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan, I don't think there's any surprises. Illinois, Oregon, I don't see as a surprise. UCLA, I don't see as a surprise. I would say Maryland would be my one. The opposite of a dark horse would be Indiana. Indiana has kind of fallen off. They want to fire Mike Woodson at this point here, so he's kind of out the door. I do agree with St. John's, though. St. John's, nobody talked about them. They weren't even ranked for the longest time, and they just, got the kibosh. Now they're finally ranked, and I agree with the St. John's comment there. Let's see here. Any other teams that I would say right now? Texas Tech is having a very underrated season. They're very underrated, 15-4 at the moment there. So I would say 15-4. I like Texas Tech. I would also say teams that guys aren't talking about, Clemson. Clemson at 17-4. I love what they've shown right now in the ACC. Louisville was pretty high up there, talked about to start the year. They had some pretty good transfers coming in, Chucky Hepburn being one of them there. So I would say Louisville. And then Wake Forest has been pretty darn good here in ACC play. So I would say that some of those teams right there would be kind of my dark horse. I don't know if they make a run, but I think they could make some noise. And I think they're interesting stories to keep an eye on there. Outside of that, I don't really have any dark horse teams at the moment. March Madness is so hard to pick a dark horse team just because it depends. It depends there. We do have one across Twitch. We're a Wisconsin sports show. We're a Wisconsin sports show there. So we got one more real fast here, John. We got to get out of here. Rumor Gonzaga job will be open in the next few years with few stepping down. Next year with few stepping down. That would be interesting. I think Gonzaga, aren't they joining a conference? I thought I saw Gonzaga's jumping in a conference for basketball. Aaron, are they jumping in a conference in the next couple years for basketball there? A different conference. They are currently in that the WAC or whatever you call it. They're the West Coast West Coast something crapola conference where they don't play anybody. I thought they were talking about moving.
Yeah, Pac-12, which is what? The Pac-2. I mean, really.
The Pac-12 is restructuring it, and they're going to have Gonzaga in there. So it's going to be a little bit more games from the problem with being a Gonzaga, like I said, is they play in that craptastic conference with absolutely nobody in it. And then, they have to play all these non-conference games against like Kentucky and Alabama and all these top 10. They play the top 10 teams in the country for their first like 10 games of the season. And then they end up like 5-5 coming out of that. It's like, well, the record's actually not that bad looking at who they played. So, Gonzaga's, it's always a tough one, but maybe getting into the pack, maybe getting some more competition, some better teams that can get you more of that net ranking and get you more of them quad 1 wins or quad 1, quad 2. That'll be huge for Gonzaga there. So, I don't know. I like few there. So I don't know. I don't know if he'll step down. I was just looking at the SEC here because I was scrolling down here. I don't know if any team in the SEC is really a dark horse for me. Mississippi State, like John said there, but outside of that, all these teams were previously ranked there. Texas, I will say Texas, they're sitting there at 14-6. They've hung close with a lot of great teams so far this year. Texas is a team that I could see them finding a way to squeak some games out there. So watch out for Texas possibly being a team to make a run there. But outside of that, it's college basketball. You never know. March Madness is so tough. You have to get to the madness first, and then you can worry about it, right? You got to see the tournament, the conference tournament games first. And once you get into the conference tournament games, then you pick your NC State to win a few games. When NC State rattled off the ACC tournament and made it in, and then put the run on to the Final Four. Like, those are when you have to worry about it there. But Aaron, we ran long a little bit. But hey, that's okay. We got a lot of good stuff coming back on Wednesday. We got to talk about the Super Bowl matchup because we're going to have that figured out here with the Bills and the Chiefs. So we're going to be able to talk about that. Who's going to be taking on the Eagles there in New Orleans. So we're going to get into that. We have more Badger talk to get into on Wednesday there on the show. All kinds of stuff to get into there Wednesday on the show here. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys back here on Wednesday. But until then, see ya.